Good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me or not. As you can see, we are in a different sort of technical setup. We've been told that by January 2026, our rooms will be set up like our previous rooms. So third Thursdays will be back to normal, I guess. So I'm talking into a laptop. If anyone has trouble hearing me, please let us know.
I can hear you just fine.
Thank you. All right. Let's get started. Today's agenda, really just going to summarize where we are in terms of our annual allocation, a couple of reminders about Blueprint to Build, and some announcements about HUD addendums and a few other things. Before we get into that, I just want to thank everybody for the great year. We've had 66 total applications. We're reviewing our November applications, but this has really been a great year in terms of applications, in terms of engagement, and it only happens with the grant administrators and the great people of Kansas who are participating in the program like you. So I just want to take this as our last third Thursday to really say thank you to everyone who's participated or is looking to participate next year. We really appreciate it. All right, let's go. Reminder about November application review. If you have an application in, we have some commercial rehab applications. We have some housing applications. We have community facilities and water sewer applications. Due to the upcoming holidays, just letting everyone know, awards will be given out after the holidays. And one thing to note, we're currently oversubscribed in terms of applications in water and sewer and community facilities. So there may be some declination letters issued due to a lack of funds. Again, we're going to rate all of these before we issue the awards, but just want people to know that we're a little bit oversubscribed in a couple categories. And then looking ahead to next year, and you'll see this on one of the slides, we have less money available for community facilities next year. Just want people to know. So maybe applications come in a little bit sooner instead of waiting towards the end.
That's not what I want.
No, back.
There we go.
Got it.
So you're not having your slide.
All right. So like I said, we had 66 applications this year. All the application windows are closed except for Blueprint to Build, of course. Blueprint to Build is still open. Total of 30 million. Community facility is obviously always going to be our highest applied category. We are still reviewing 14 of these 66 applications. Let's see, this didn't change much from last month, but as I said previously, funding availability in that column on the far right, notice we don't have a lot of funding available in some of these categories. As I've noted before, the youth job training money can be used to supplement community facilities, and it will be since we didn't receive as many youth job training applications. So we will do our best to award as many projects as possible, but just want to be transparent with what's available. Okay, few program updates. Final annual allocations for 2026. Thanks everyone who submitted a public comment. We did receive a few public comments from people, and we did make a couple of tweaks. The tweaks, as you can see, are right there. We added another 100,000 to community facilities, and commercial rehab and housing we equalized at 1.2 million. Again, these are just estimates, so really it's based off of that percentage in that percentage column. We do not know what our allocation will be for 2026. We budget in the estimated AA column with the same allocation we had last year. So we're assuming we're going to get the same allocation. We don't know. Of course, we'll keep people posted as we get throughout the year. The Blueprint to Build money, the 14 million, that is still available to apply for at any time. All right. Application deadlines for 2026, just reminding people, clarifying to people, around March 2nd will be the first applications will be accepted. I want people to know who are applying for commercial rehab. If you're applying for housing next year, those applications are commercial rehab or economic development. Those applications are being moved from submittable into Salesforce. So there won't be this. So to fill out an application will be a little bit of a different process for economic development or commercial rehab next year. Jason's working on getting all that information transported over to Salesforce. There'll be more information to come on this, but this is one of the reasons why we bumped back the application window date to March for all of our programs, just because we're required by the state to move all of our programs out of submittable. One other thing to note, pre-applications were not required for commercial rehab last year. They were not required for housing, and they were not required for EcoDevo. They will be required for 2026. We are working on updating our pre-applications now. The pre-application questions will be tailored to the specific program. And we may reach out to admins to help test them in December when we get those finalized. But just want people to know there's a pre-application step. For housing, there will be no hat required next year, though. So that's sort of the trade-off for housing. You'll have to fill out the housing pre-app, but not the hat to be eligible for housing. Application reviews for 2026. Just want to clarify for people and be clear on this. Applications that we review that are come in on the 15th of each month are community facilities, water and sewer, regional water, and youth job training. And those can take 2 to 3 weeks to review. We have a pretty good process. Commercial rehab, EcoDevo, housing, and blueprint to build. Those application reviews may take a little or will take a little bit longer. So with applications next year, please allow for that amount of time based on the program. And one thing I would like to note, we've had a lot of questions about this. I know Commerce has been a little slow getting our press releases out this year. I promise you, it's not because we don't send them to be put out. There's an extra step above us, and they just don't get through that step very quickly. So allow Commerce 3 weeks to put out a press release in the future, and we'll harp on this next year for our awards too. But if we don't have a press release out in 3 weeks, then communities can notify people. All right. Just a reminder about Blueprint to Build. These are the same slides we had last week at Third Thursday. 2.5 million for small, 3.25 for medium, 4 million for large. And if you look at this next slide, you can see that only for a small estimated 24% match. I was looking back today with Jen at our 2019 round of pools, and a lot of communities had a good amount of matches, like $1 million for those pool projects in 2019. So we're hoping that we can find some communities, and we're certainly talking to some communities about small community centers and medium community centers, but please reach out if you have questions on that. All right, and a few more announcements. This is a compliance announcement. So 2025 awardees, and we will supplement this, talking about this at Third Thursday with an email soon. All awardees for 2025 are going to be required to sign an addendum. This addendum has come directly from HUD. It's based on executive orders that have come out of the executive branch this year. A lot of these addendums these clauses won't necessarily touch our projects, but we do need to document that that they are part of the contract. So these will be contract amendments. We will have a training for all 2025 awardees at some point. I would love to sneak it in December, but my guess is it'll probably have to wait until after that. The one I have highlighted here, though, is the one that may bump into housing awardees in 2025 or youth job training awardees in 2025, and that's the SAVE or equivalent verification. CDBG funds are not to be used for undocumented immigrants. Really, when we're talking about what's the word? When we're talking about direct beneficiaries. So housings are direct beneficiaries. YJT can be direct beneficiaries. So for housing, we're working with HUD and we're working with the state on this, on trying to find out if we use SAVE, which is a federal system, to verify this, or developing an equivalent system. But this will apply to all housing grants, youth job training grants. It won't apply to our LMA projects, but again, we're still working through the guidance on this, and we will send out more information. But I just want people to be aware of it, that it is something that will be required to sign, or you won't be able to receive your funds. for 2025. Okay. Limited clientele closeout protocol, just kind of an update. So go back to 2023, we hadn't really done a lot of limited clientele projects like our childcare projects, our youth job training projects. What we found out is that community facilities projects that were qualified by the LMC national objective, really what we're talking about here in our program are childcare centers. Youth job training, it probably wouldn't apply because they'd already be qualified. But we need to ensure that if we're building the building for a childcare center, that building doesn't meet the national objective until we actually have the kids that were promised to meet the national objective in that building. So once construction's finished, if you have a childcare project, we can't close out that project until we have proof that the kids that were supposed to be in there are in there. So we just want people to be aware of that for childcare projects, and we'll take other limited clientele projects as they come. And then further, essentially, once we close out the project, we'll have the grantee essentially every year just provide us an update for 5 years saying these are LMI beneficiaries out of, how many we have, how many total beneficiaries, just as an update. And we can document that for 5 years. So not really a big change, but this did come up recently for a project, and we just want to be clear about the requirements there. If you have any questions, reach out to any of us. And I will let Jason talk about some updated docs.
Yeah. So we've been working pretty hard on the resource library, making the forms as agreeable to our systems as possible. We did update the English and Spanish sample survey documents just to remove one question at the bottom that did not apply to the questions above it, just a how many qualifier for the households. So that line has been struck. You don't have to worry about that line being on there. So please, go back and re-download those if you haven't already begun your surveys. It's just an irrelevant question that we removed from the form itself. But we do have both English and Spanish versions available now. Our budget form, we did move that into another category. So there's application support as well as in the financial form. So you can find it in 2 places. I also corrected a little bit of formatting on that. So the last line for administration would have the totals rather than you inputting the totals. So nice auto population there. Based off feedback from Karina out of the West, we got the payroll forms with the digital signature line. So if your contractor uses a signature key, they can sign their forms electronically based on their choosing. We also corrected some cells so they displayed pretty well. So if you want to re-download that form, it's definitely encouraged. And then based off some processes with BABA, I just updated the certification of compliance form, which allows us to have that digital signature again. So if you have a contractor who uses a digital key, they can utilize that. But there's also a choice between, there are BABA covered items in this project or there aren't BABA covered items in this project. We just saw that coming in from one grant administrator and thought that was a good thing to kind of mark off. So that way you can use that certification of compliance to then frame any BABA certs that you have after and you are attaching to your RFPs. So certification of compliance has been updated just for more utility. We also did upload a LMC family income self-certification form that's in miscellaneous. I think we've played with that on different projects, but we've kind of got a finalized version. So that way it basically reports the same information as the survey, but it's just for those limited clientele who are participating in the program service. So I encourage you to download that and look that up if you're working on an LMC family project. And then another one, and this is not the last one, but another one that we put online under miscellaneous is the debarment or suspension certification for UEIs. This is going to only apply when you have both generals and subs on a project that you're trying to get verification form for. We're able to approve those who have the UEIs and the active registration. Those are typically the general or prime contractors. So we've been working through that with you guys. That's great. For these subs, rather than us emailing and back and forth, we are expecting a certification from those contractors to come through in addition to those verification of contractor forms. And it's simply they fill out their information and attest to them being, they're not debarred or suspended from receiving federal awards. So it's a pretty one-page document. We just took that out of our policy update, which it was trapped in, and we moved it into its single form status so that way you guys can easily access it and utilize it for verification. So just when you are trying to get contractor verification, just be aware subs do need that form attached with signatures attesting to their status. And then the last thing we are developing, currently not yet, but I do want to tease it. We were asked to build the housing log out into an Excel form. So we're going to move that from PDF to Excel. That's something that we're developing along with some other reporting features with Salesforce. But the Excel format hopefully will be a lot more congruent with your guys' work that you do out there in the office and in the field. So those are some updates to the resource library. We're going to try to be a little bit more, active in informing you about those updates as we get them. But just want to give you some updates on those forms and where to look to start downloading some corrections.
Right. Okay. So I have talked to several of you about some grant administrator training. We had talked as a team about, maybe covering something, like one topic every month or something to go a little bit more into the details. But we had a suggestion on Monday for some in-person training, maybe like 3 half days, just comprehensive at the docking building here in Topeka. And so I've emailed several of you, and a lot of you responded with your interest. Some would prefer virtual, some would prefer in person. I just want to let you guys know we have received your feedback, and we're talking as a team, and I'll get back to you. If you haven't been contacted and you're interested, please email me, and I'll keep you posted.
And just a reminder again, we have changed offices. So if you are sending us any items such as surveys, documents, you do note that we do have a new address. Department of Commerce is now in that fancy new docking building, and we're working through technology problems as we get them. But all of your mail can come to us at this 915 Southwest Harrison Street, Suite 250 address here on screen. So just make sure you get that down somewhere. We have our cards that will be taken out of the field are updated with our address as well. And then office hours, like most things during the winter time, we're going to shut those down until we open up application season again. So those hours that we typically were holding after our Monday staff meeting, 3 to 4 bi-week or every 2 weeks, we are going to put those on pause for a moment. Doesn't mean that we're not available for comment or question, but we will have those sessions regularly occurring in 2026. So right now, don't expect any office hours until January. So we just want to bring that up. But this slide will be in all of our presentations going forward. I think that's it.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Any questions before we jump off? Anything in the chat?
You can come off mute too and ask them if you need to.
Hey, Andrew, this is Carrie in Southeast Kansas. On the childcare projects and the limited clientele, is that something that administrators are going to need to do for the 5 years after the grant work itself is done?
Yeah,
that is not what we have under contract.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. And again, we need to probably make some of the tweaks to our contracts and stuff like that. But we're really just thinking a form that can be filled out by the people that are operating it. They send it to us once a year, just so we know they haven't changed our childcare into a sports bar.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
All right.
So nothing. It's not going to be. There are other states that do very intense monitorings post award. We're definitely not going to be doing that, but just making sure that they're still operating.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but I appreciate that feedback though.
We'll have a training when we have that available.
Any other questions?
Crystal has her hand up.
Yeah. Come off mute, Crystal.
Okay, I got a couple, so I'm sorry about this. First, to go off that with the child care, so with that form, will they still have to send in the certs too, or just fill out the form? Have you thought about that?
I think it'll just be the form.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Something simple.
We would encourage the certifications to be, utilized, but in terms of what we want, we're probably just going to collect the form.
Yeah. Good questions.
Just because I have a couple that are sending
Yep.
me individual forms, and it's taken a long time for them to scan each.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, so that's why I was curious. Will you be considering a reallocation from regional water to water sewer again, like you did this year, if you don't use all that money?
Yes, that's part of it. That's baked into the process. Yeah.
Okay. The community center, when we're talking about B2B, if they're under the 1,500, so you said that they would have to go for a community facilities large project. Now,
Yes.
in the guidelines, it says that they can only use it for like renovations of a current one. I want you to be,
Good catch. Good. Okay. Good catch. Yeah, we'll make a note of that.
okay,
That
so
distinction. That's a
we're
good
still
catch.
on the same page that they could still build.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
I wanted
Yep. And I did.
clarification. Okay.
Yeah, and you're probably looking at 25 guidelines. Our 26 guidelines have yet to be updated.
Yeah.
Whatever's on right now is what I clicked on. So I
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that we were still on the same page.
But yes, yep.
Yeah, you have the correct understanding.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I have a couple more. Sorry.
No
The
worries.
save online. So I did try and go and look at that, and maybe I just need like a little TA session to talk about that. That's probably, but is that something that I'm going to have to do, or you guys are going to have to do?
We're still building an understanding
Okay.
of that. I've sat in on a couple webinars.
Okay.
We don't have any like top-down guidance from HUD yet on that system. There are questions being posed to them, being that they just got back into their offices. But I'm sure we will have guidance as to how to verify citizenship and what that
Okay.
process looks like. Right now, that system is very formalized for people who are authorized by law to verify citizenship, from what I'm understanding.
Right, because I
And
couldn't
so
find a way to
there might be a
even
layer of
put in any information. So I just,
yeah,
Yeah.
it might be tough getting us onboarded at
if they have a
present,
birth
but we're gonna
certificate,
figure it out.
can we get a copy of that and just skip that whole?
We'll definitely we're gonna find what we can do to supplement that check.
And maybe
Right
those
now,
answers aren't
I
for
wouldn't
this
stress too
meeting.
much about it.
No, well, Crystal, I will say you're kind of already on the right track. So it was save or other acceptable verifications, right? So for your YJT project, think about what the school might be able to provide that shows those students aren't. Yeah. So you're on the right track.
That's
We'll
a good
probably
idea.
follow up
Okay.
with some one-on-one TA for you because of that project, Crystal.
Right, yeah, because I have some additional questions that we'll just get together on. Okay, that was all my
Yeah.
questions.
No, let's just plan on let's set up a meeting in like a couple weeks, okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Got it.
Donna wants to know if we have updates on grant applications that are in the review stage and not yet awarded. So that's
Yeah.
14, right?
Yes.
And then how long before the awards are determined? Were we talking about after Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So we currently have 14 applications in review, I believe, off the top of my head, 4 housing, 2 commercial rehab, 4 small, 2 large, and 2 or 3 water sewer, something like that. Yeah. So because of the holiday, we won't be able to make these awards before Thanksgiving. We hope to have the awards out. Should have the awards out, award letters the week after Thanksgiving. Donna Jackson's other question, we always reallocate and move as much funding as possible to award as many projects as possible, to answer your question. So as much as we can do, we will do. So yeah, we'll try to award as many as we can. Right now we've awarded 17.9. I expect us to get up to over 20 million, which would be really a great year. And we will do our best to award the best projects, always making sure we're not putting CDBG at risk or anything. But yeah, we try to award as many as possible, Donna. All right. Any other questions? If not, we will release everyone to enjoy their weekend and their Thanksgiving. If you have a follow-up question or individual project question, shoot us an email or give us a call.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.